Hello everyone, my name is Michelle Davydov and I attend James Madison High School in Brooklyn, New York. And today I'll be presenting my systematic review titled Analysis of Race and Socioeconomic Status on Sunscreen Use Disparities in Urban Communities. Here's the agenda for the presentation, which is a quick overview of what we'll cover: context, issue, aim, methodology, key findings, limitations, conclusion, recommendations, and references. To begin, excessive sun exposure is the leading cause of skin cancer. Sun exposure leads to premature aging, DNA damage, and mutations. Such mutations can lead to actinic keratosis, squamous cell carcinoma, and melanoma. There are two main types of sunscreen: physical blockers like zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, which reflect UV rays, and chemical blockers, which absorb UV and release lower energy photons. Many products combine both to enhance protection and user tolerance. While many people know sunscreen is beneficial, their behavior doesn't always reflect that knowledge. Sunscreen is a proven tool to prevent these conditions, yet disparities in its use persist. The true issue is, even when sunscreen is used, there's a vital interplay between product quality and cost. Various disparities across racial and socioeconomic groups compound these financial barriers. The aim of this review is to examine the relationships between sunscreen use and key social determinants, which in this case would be race and income level in the urban communities. By analyzing these groups, this research aims to identify the underlying factors contributing to these disparities and propose health interventions to address these issues. My quantitative methods for this study was that I used the database PubMed, and my search terms included variations of sunscreen and social determinants, sunscreens, and income. The time range for my articles were from 2006 to 2025. The initial results were that I found 262 articles, but 255 of them were excluded for not addressing sunscreen and social determinant relationships. Additionally, I used one credible external website. My qualitative methods is that I use full text evaluation of remaining articles to find impactful discussion of racial or socioeconomic variables. I put an emphasis on studies with insight into behavior, perceptions, or barriers, and detailed qualitative explanations of sunscreen use patterns. My final inclusion was 8 articles. 5 of them focus on race, and 3 of them focus on socioeconomic status. Please take a moment to review the PRISMA guidelines that I followed. Across the studies that I reviewed, there was a clear pattern in how different racial and ethnic groups approach sun protection. Many individuals and groups tend to avoid the sun or wear UV protective clothing, but they are not using sunscreen at the same rates. Bollick emphasized that this behavior is consistent across multiple demographics. One major factor behind this is implicit bias in sunscreen marketing. Fleurant and her colleagues found that most sunscreen advertisements feature light-skinned individuals, which sends the message, intentionally or not, that sunscreens is designed primarily for them. Another important issue is cosmetic appearance. Sprague noted that some brands like Tower 28 leave a visible white cast on darker skins, making it look ashy. Because of this, many Black women reported using only 1/4 of the recommended amount of sunscreen simply to avoid the unwanted appearance. So even when sunscreen is used, it may not be applied effectively due to these aesthetic concerns. The disparities become even more significant. Bradford explains that this disparity is largely due to the lack of awareness about representations of skin cancer in darker skin tones. thus delaying proper diagnosis. As a result, individuals from these groups may only begin to seek care at a later stage, where treatment options become limited. If you look at this image, Figure 1, from Hospital Italiano de Buenos Aires, shows an example of skin cancer appearing in lighter skin tones, illustrating that it's easier to spot, unlike from Figure 2, from Memorial Sloan Kettering Center, which is evidently harder to spot. Perceived risk also plays a significant role. Morton and her team found that Caucasians tend to use sunscreen more frequently because they can see the effects of sun exposure more clearly, like sunburn. For people with darker skin, natural melanin protection makes damage less visible, so the perceived need for sunscreen is lower. The results that I identified for socioeconomic disparities clearly show how income status also profoundly influences sunscreen use. Mahay and colleagues found that lower-income individuals often view sunscreen as a luxury rather than affordable necessity. A multinational pricing survey found that sunscreen costs for family on vacation could exceed up to $200 per week, while sun-sensitive individuals or workers may spend nearly $300 annually. Sue and her colleagues supported this by creating an analysis of top-rated sunscreens on Amazon, which revealed that 40% failed to meet American Academy of Dermatology guidelines, often lacking water resistance. Prices ranged from 68 cents to $23 per ounce, with cosmetic appeal and formulation influencing costs. Additionally, Ullman and her colleagues' surveys in Buffalo, New York, revealed that Hispanic respondents reported more affordability concerns than white respondents, which point to an intersection between race and socioeconomic status. There are a few limitations to note. First of all, most studies relied on surveys, which are prone to recall bias and may lead participants to overstate or underreport sunscreen use. Experimental studies were not feasible for ethical reasons, and some racial groups, such as Native Americans, are highly underrepresented in the studies above, which may cause difficulties in the racial analysis of sunscreen use. In conclusion, individuals part of racial minority groups experience numerous barriers that reduce their ideal amount and affordability to use sunscreen. Many low-income families are unable to afford sunscreen and view it as a luxury due to its unaffordable prices. And through various interventions, sun protection behavior will not only be improved, but also shield many individuals from harmful ultraviolet radiation that causes skin cancer. I recommend two key interventions. First, educational campaigns which provide information about UV risks and sun protection, addressing misconceptions and increasing awareness among racial minority groups. And free sunscreen dispensers, which increase access for free sunscreen by installing free sunscreen dispensers in parks, schools, and playgrounds, and in urban areas. Here are my references. All the sources in this review are listed below. They include peer-reviewed journals and public health studies that informed my analysis. Thank you for your time and attention.